Okay, so if I'm recording this, it's because the last time I tried to record this episode, which was last night, and it's the reason why it's a day uploaded late, because what I've decided is I'm gonna record on Sundays so I can upload on Monday. The video was not working properly, which frustrated me. And what's funny is that as I'm trying to edit it, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Something along the line, I guess, in the recording, whatever, got corrupted, which is super duper frustrating. But that's neither here nor there. It is what it is, and it happened, right? Um, so I wanted to be consistent with this thing, and like I said, I'm trying to have an episode uploaded every Monday and record on Sunday. But it didn't work out that way, which is fine because I'm recording now, and I'll try to upload this tonight, so you should be seeing this on Tuesday. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, so I'm gonna get into the topics again. Welcome. This is episode 2 of autosave, where you don't have to check your save file because it should be saving on its own if you've been keeping up. Um, I noticed in the first episode I talked about some of the reasons why I did this, why I was starting this podcast, and some of the goals and things I wanted to try to find, and what the podcast would be talking about. I didn't really get to talk about myself. Um, and I don't say that in a real like pretentious, like, oh my god, I need to talk about myself kind of way. I say that more so like, you know, who the heck am I? Who's Rabbit, right? Why do I call myself that? Basically a little exposition on myself. So I've been playing video games, and there's reason why I wanted to make this podcast primarily about like video games, comic books, just pop culture in general since I was a little kid. We could date it all the way back to who knows. I remember playing games when I was 5, and I was probably cliche to say, but that's probably I can't remember anything before I was 5 years old. To be fair, to be honest, um, but I have been playing games since I was 5. Uh, I remember, when I was that age, I just kept asking myself, like, why can't I see my face? But I could see a X-Men animated series was on TV, and I could see those characters' face. Just a weird little thing. Um, but yeah, it's one of the first games I ever played was the Mario All Stars on the Super Nintendo. Probably one of the first games I ever played. Probably the first game I ever played on the Super Nintendo. And then after that, I want to say I played this really weird Star Wars game. I think it dealt around the time of The Empire Strikes Back on the Super Nintendo. It's really cool too. It was really hard though. I didn't beat it. It was hard, but it was a cool game. But I primarily played All Stars. I know there was another game that I would play with my cousin. I want to say it might have been Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo. It had a different color cartridge. That was cool. But yeah, the first game I can remember playing is Super Mario All Stars. And then after that, I played the Nintendo 64. So I played a lot of Mario 64. And then I also had a Sega Genesis or CD. And on that, we played a lot of, Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3. There was a Spider-Man game too that we played. Um, and then I want to say there's also Streets of Rage that we played on that. Yeah, there's a few of them. There was one with like the skateboarding kid that I really liked. And then I want to say after that, I really got into the JRPG realm when I got around to finally playing on a PS1. One of the first JRPGs I ever played, one of my favorite games of all time is Xenogears. I'm not sure if a lot of people even know about that game. That game, if released today, would be extremely divisive because it talks about a lot of topics concerning religion and psychology, and a lot of Freudian ideas are involved in there. And it's really heavily talks about like the idea of religious and fanatical beliefs. And It's just an awesome JRPG. I played the Legend of Dragoon, Legend of Legaia, You had Saga Frontier, that was this really cool JRPG with a bunch of different characters that had kind of had like their own short stories. You had what else? What was some other great JRPG? Of course, the Final Fantasy series. You know, like anybody else, like most people you probably hear, especially around my age. First game I ever played was the original Final Fantasy VII, like JRPG realm out of the Final Fantasies. Pardon me. Um, After FF7, I want to say I played 8. I played 9. Was not. This might be a controversial take. I did think Final Fantasy X was a cool game. Do I think it was better than its predecessors? No, I don't. I think it was a great foray into the PS2 era, but I don't think it was better than the predecessors. But I did play the anthology, Final Fantasy Anthology. That's how I got to play Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 2. Fun fact, I didn't get to play Final Fantasy 6 because I didn't have it on the Super Nintendo, or we didn't have it on the Super Nintendo until I got it on computer, on Steam. I had heard all these great stories about it. And honestly, it is a great game. It has a great villain in Kefka, very Joker-esque. But I don't think it's like the best thing in the world that people proclaim to be. It has a great set of stories within the game. But I don't know if I would have considered it one of the best in the world. Maybe at the time, if I would have played it at the time, it would have hit a little heavier. But what's funny is that what grew to be one of my favorite Final Fantasies, it might actually be my favorite. You know, of course I love 7, but who doesn't love 7, right? I feel like that's the stereotypical answer. But Final Fantasy 4, funny enough, with Cecil, which I really like that game. Um, Final Fantasy 1 is very like old school in D&D, a lot of things happening, but I think that it's a really good game. I think the only Final Fantasy I could truly say that I played that I was like, wow, this I played recently. I didn't play in my younger years, and I'm gonna get back to that. Is Final Fantasy 2. I was not a huge fan of Final Fantasy 2. I think the leveling system is kind of poo. Like I think if they re-released it and they made it like a regular leveling system, like the other Final Fantasies, I think it'd be way better. But yeah, so I played like, of course, all the Final Fantasy series. Well, most of them when I was younger. There was a Star Ocean 2 to the End of Time was one. Lunar Silver Star Story 1 and 2 was another set of JRPGs that I played. I remember playing. You know what's funny is that I never had any of the 3D Legend of Zeldas. Well, we never had because I didn't really own any games. I always played what was my mother's games. She let us play. Um, we didn't have any of the 3D Legend of Zeldas until later. The first Legend of Zelda I ever like really got to play was A Link to the Past on the Game Boy Advance. Played A Link to the Past, and then I played Wind Waker, and then I went back and played Ocarina of Time. And then after Ocarina of Time, that's when I played. I'm trying to remember Skyward Sword. No, Twilight Princess, then Skyward Sword. But that's my Legend of Zelda foray. And then, of course, I got into some of the later ones. A lot of the 2D ones, I want to say the one I primarily played was A Link to the Past. Oh, I also played A Link Between Worlds. I feel like that game doesn't get talked about enough. Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. That is a great game. If you have a 3DS, because I don't think it was ever re-released, that's a game you need to play. It was a really good game, and a really like sequel-esque, spiritual sequel to A Link to the Past. But yeah, so I know most people say, "Oh man, Ocarina of Time was the first game they played," but nah, it wasn't my first one. I wish it was because I love Ocarina of Time. I think it's a phenomenal game. I don't think the one that I've never played that people swear to, some people swear to, is Majora's Mask. I've never played Majora's Mask, so I don't really have any connection to that game. Maybe one day I should play it, but I've never played it. What was I gonna say? Pardon me, I just finished eating a little while ago. Uh, and then I played Super Smash Brothers 64. Super Smash Brothers. Super Smash Brothers holds a very special place in my heart, just like the Marvel vs. Capcom series, because one of the first fighting games I ever played was X-Men vs. Street Fighter on the PS1, and I know that's like one of the worst ports ever of the game, and I didn't know that as a kid, but I think that's one of the phenomenal game to me, and it was one of the first games I ever played. I played that. I never played Marvel Superheroes until I got the collection. Um, and then after that, I played Marvel's Capcom 1 on Dreamcast. Then I had Marvel's Well, I keep saying we had Marvel's Capcom 2 on and I say we because it wasn't mine, it was like my family's. We had Marvel's Capcom 2 on the PlayStation 2. And that again was one of the worst ports, but I had so much fun with it and I loved it. But that was like my fighting game journey. Then of course, I did play Street Fighter 2. I honestly didn't play Third Strike until I was in high school. I played Third Strike a little bit in high school, but I didn't really know what I was doing. Um, until like I really got into fighting games with some of my buddies. In Street Fighter 4 era, Super Street Fighter 4. But even then, it took me so long to get decent. I'm kind of like I kind of got okay, and then like I started like wanted to like really take things serious, but life goes down other paths for you, and I'm kind of glad because that's not really like a stable form of income for anybody unless you're in that 1% of super successful. But those guys who grind it out every day, I commend you guys because if you grind it out and you have the time and ability to do so and to actually make real money off of it, that's awesome. But yeah, but I love those fighting games. But Super Smash Brothers is one of the games that really I grew like I have so many fond memories of just playing with my buddy. Even some buddies who don't play anymore, I have fond memories of playing with them. And then one of my buddies who I'm especially close with, we had so many battles, especially in Melee. And we didn't know what tier lists were. And we were just having fun, just playing the game. We had so many battles, and he pushed me to get better and to hit like a level where I was like good enough, where I felt like I was the man. But of course, there's always somebody bigger, better out there. There's so much easier access to tech and stuff nowadays. But back then, we didn't have a lot of YouTube wasn't as developed as it is now back then and stuff. I remember the first time we saw a Brawl trailer was through my buddies. Maybe I'll have him on the pod one day. Through my buddy's PSP, and he had the trailer on his PSP back when we was in middle school before it was like this big thing, and it was super cool. He's such a big Metal Gear Solid fan. But to get back on track about myself, but like I've been playing games since that young, and like I played a lot of games. I won't say of course I've never played all the games, but I played a lot of games and I have a lot of memories that I see a lot of the games being re-released now that I'm like, wow, I enjoyed those games. I love those games as a kid. Like I heard a Tumba collection is coming out. Tumba, guy with the pink hair, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. We love those games as a kid. We love those games as a kid, me and my sisters and stuff. Um, of course I played the Pokemons. I actually never owned Red or Blue. We had Pokemon Yellow. And then I had cried and begged for Pokemon Gold. Um, and then my older brother had Pokemon Crystal. And then I had Pokemon Ruby. And then I had Pokemon. I didn't have Fire Red. My sister had Fire Red, and I wanted Fire Red, but they gave me Leaf Green for whatever reason. But I wanted Fire Red so bad. And then I had Pokemon Emerald. And then I had then I stopped playing for a while, and then I got back in with the Omega Ruby game. Oh no, the X game, Pokemon X, and then Pokemon Omega Ruby. Then I stopped playing again. Then I got back in with Pokemon Sword, and then I got the Pokemon Violet. Yeah, Violet, which by the way runs abysmal on Switch. So I'm hoping the Switch 2 can run these games a lot better. But yeah, like that's my gaming journey. Like I grew up playing like JRPGs, games with great stories and fighting games, and like that's why like even now like on future episodes, if I'm talking about a game and I'm kind of critical on the story, I grew up playing these really great stories. And I tell people all the time, especially when I used to talk to one of my younger siblings. I told him all the time, like, I grew up in the golden age of gaming. I was very fortunate of that. Of course, I didn't have access to all the games that I wish I could have played because of my own personal circumstances when growing up. But the games I did play, like, they had these rich, great stories, like Kingdom Hearts, for example, on the PS2, like Kingdom Hearts 1, 2. Love those games. A huge Kingdom Hearts fan. Devil May Cry. Those kind of games like Baldur's Gate, Dark Alliance 1 and 2. Legacy of Kain series. That's a series I'm so glad that like got a lot of remasters, which I did buy. I need to go and play through them again. But that's a game with a rich story. I grew up with these great rich stories, so I can tell when a story is half baked and when it's not. And I think that's the problem with the gaming industry nowadays in general, right? Um, there's this whole push for infinite growth instead of like creating like a foundation of or stability. There's this whole thing like we got to keep growing, got to keep growing, got to keep getting more money, more money, more money, instead of like trying to let's be stable, make these great stories, become a name, a trusted name, and then the growth will come to us. And I feel like that's and there's also this hyper focus on like you gotta see a character's skin follicles, you gotta see like the craters in their neck, and like I'm not saying that graphics aren't important. It's important to show that and showcase that kind of art and vision, but when the story is lost because that's what you focus on, and the live service push too, it really it sucks for gamers, right? Because they don't get to experience these amazing stories like the Chrono Triggers of the world, the Chrono Crosses of the world, the Xenogears of the world, these really amazing, cool stories that are developed because you can't just rely on the art. You also have to create a strong narrative, right? Which I think, is really like loss. But, I want to say that you still find those diamonds. I'm not saying it's all games. You still find those diamonds. Another game I forgot to mention was Castlevania Symphony in the Night. I love that game. That's a game I grew up playing. I loved it, which is why I backed. I was one of the Kickstarter backers for Bloodstain Ritual of the Night because it's a spiritual successor to me in that game. Made by the creator of Koji Igarashi of the Castlevania series, and he created one of my favorite characters of all time, which is Alucard. There's certain characters that have like affected me so much that like I grew up and love. If anybody knows me, like characters that I like, if you want to define them, you can define them like in three traits. They either they don't give up, they work hard, and they always fight this inner conflict of themselves, like, did I do the right thing, right? Like, and is the right thing, is my form of justice the correct form of justice, and like there's no right or wrong answer there, but it's like you just got to keep pushing, like believing that you're doing the right thing, right, and never give up on a dream or a goal. And I love characters like that, even if the circumstances are against them, both internally or externally. you know that's why, before I talked about Asta from Black Clover, I love that character because he kind of personifies that, even though he yells every 5 seconds. Um, but yeah, that's a little bit about me and my gaming background. If there's any games you want me to delve into or any specifics that you want me to talk about, leave a comment about it and we can definitely get into it. I want to start getting into some of the other topics. I want to talk a little bit about Marvel Rivals because Marvel Rivals has been a game I've been addicted to, and I know I talked about live service earlier, but it's I love comic books, as you can see from my background, as you can see from statues I have, and um, my favorite comic book characters are Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and Superman, right? And through playing the game, I won't say I'm some super top expert. I still haven't done competitive because I want to actually get like a solid foundation of team, and a lot of my buddies are adults, and we don't have the time necessarily to do that. But I've been playing a lot, and I feel like I have a good grasp of Spider-Man as a character, and I talked about it before about his inconsistencies as a character, but I think that I'm not trying to say Spider-Man. Spider-Man is very good at what he does, which is diving the back line, right, and attacking. But if you make a mistake, you die, right? Because he's very squishy. He only has 250 health, which is weird because some supports have 275, which drives me crazy. Supports are just so strong in the game. But back to Spider-Man. If there's anything I wish we could do is like give him more resources. Give him one more resources either on the web or the web zip, in my opinion. So that way, I'm able to get out more consistently and get away. Or I would like them to take away some of the damage from uppercut and increase the range on his melee attack a little bit, because I feel like sometimes characters like you'll hit them with a combo, and if you don't kill them, especially certain supports, and a lot of the team comps nowadays, which I want to talk about, are the 3 team supports. A lot of those team comps, um, they you go after a healer and they'll just keep healing each other, and then like you don't do enough damage to really eliminate one of the healers, especially when they have 275. Because if you do the full basic combo, which is web ball into the zip, into the uppercut, into a jab, into the web ball, you don't do enough damage, right? I mean, you have to get the jab into the web ball. If you don't do enough damage with the regular ball, zip, uppercut. You don't do enough damage on a 275. And if they're all healing each other, especially Cloak and Dagger, oh my god, they need to nerf her alt game. Cloak and Daggers, if I could talk, Cloak and Daggers ultimate game is abysmal. Like the amount of ultimate that they gain is ridiculous in this game. They need to adjust that. And I really think that like I would really just want more range on the melee or more resources. And I know that kind of sounds crazy, but I just hate certain characters are like not reaching them when I'm trying to hit my combo, because they walked a little bit out of range despite me like chasing them and going after them. It's so annoying. And then certain characters have great mobility, especially certain supports, and it's hard to catch them. You know, honestly, if I was to nerf the supports, I would do it this way. Because to me, you know who I think is a great balance support? Invisible Woman. I think she's a really good balance support. She her auto attack doesn't do crazy damage. She does just enough to get people off of her and try to escape, and she has escape tools. And no support to me should be doing a crazy amount of damage. Like Cloak, he shouldn't be doing as much damage as he does, right? Um, she Cloak and Dagger are primarily a healer. They're a support role. That's what they should be. You want to be DPS, you should have put them as DPS. They should have been a duelist, not a support. Not what do they call it? Is it support or is it? I don't know. It's like duelist vanguard, basically DPS tank support. Um, and I would nerf their ult game. They should not be gaining ult as fast as they do. I played them for a little bit, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Mantis, take away her ability to get headshot procs with her shot, because she can do a lot of damage. Mantis. Same thing with Rocket Raccoon. I know he has the wind up, but he does a lot. I've seen it in person on my stream. If you ever go to my stream, twitch.tv/Rabbitxp, and watch me play, I've seen it melt my buddy's health with that Gatling gun he has. And he plays tanks only. He really been digging Magneto, and I've seen it melt Magneto's health as if it was nothing. So, yeah, I think I would reduce the damage on Rocket, because he already has the little orbs he can throw out that are constantly healing people. Like, he's another, and then he can resurrect, which is crazy. Adam needs more. Honestly, Adam is somebody who needs more healing tools. Like, he has this damage attack that I think that they should take away like the amount of damage he does and give him more healing tools. His healing has way too much cooldown. I know he can resurrect, but to me, he's not crazy viable as a healer by himself. I don't know what I would do with Luna Snow, and I'm not saying Luna Snow's not busted, because she is, and she's very strong. I just don't know what I would do to her. And this is not me talking from a biased perspective. I have played Luna Snow in the past, but Mantis is the support that I main. But honestly, I don't know what I would do to Luna Snow, like to really nerf her. Jeff, I think Jeff having the ability to bubble underneath himself really hurts the dive characters when you're trying to get them. And the fact that he can bubble you off and then attack you with the water, and it does a decent amount of damage, is a problem. So either remove the bubble being able to be used as an escape tool with that bounce, or take away the amount of damage that his auto attack does. Let him still get healed if he wants to throw the bubble down, but he shouldn't be able to bounce the diving character up and away. And I'm not saying he doesn't get dived, but that's the game you play when you play a healer. You know, it's up to your team to support and defend you. Um, what was I gonna say? I feel like who else support in the game? Overall, that would be my suggestion though. Those are the only ones I really ever see, and those are the ones those are the changes I would like. Of course, some people who might not agree, but you can always leave your comment in the comment below. I love the dialogue and conversation. Don't be afraid to leave something there. And I also wanted to talk about something, and I'll try to play the video. Maybe this me trying to include the videos how was corrupting my original video, but I'll have a snippet of the video here where it looks like in the video what you can see is it looks like because of the way hit detection works in the game, if you do certain auto attacks at certain times, you can kind of hit around cover, which is crazy because I've seen in the video you'll see Punisher do his auto attack, and because of the way the hit detection works and how the cursor doesn't necessarily match where where the hit is or whatever, if he does the auto attack, the shotgun will swing around, and if you shoot at the same time, you can hit somebody and without ever leaving cover. It's kind of broken, and I feel like that's something that NetEase needs to adjust, is the hit detection in the game, because I really love this game and I think it's a great game, and I feel like the support issue and that are going to be some of the biggest annoyances. um Getting into the Nintendo Switch, there's well, Nintendo Switch 2 to be more specific. There's been some conversation around like a manufacturer leaking the fact that they're gonna have a 60-watt charge. I don't know if I'm gonna include a video showing from the website, but there was an article on Nintendo Life that I'm gonna include a link to in the description, and the article talks about the 60-watt charge that was leaked from the manufacturer, and in that charger you'll find that with the increased voltage from 15 to 60 from the Switch 1 to console itself, and the dock is going to be providing more juice and more power that's equivalent to a PS4 and an Xbox One. It makes sense that it's going to need a larger battery. So that's interesting to see. It does bear, a lot that does bear a lot of good news for Nintendo gamers, and the fact that you are gonna get a stronger console hardware if this is true from the leak. And like I said, I'll include the link in the description below. But I thought it was a really good thing to include, because uh it talks a lot about like what some of the expectations are going to be for the console, right? And what I mean by expectations is that if the expectation is it's going to be as powerful as a PS4 or Xbox One, um you would need more juice, more power, as I stated earlier. I feel like I'm repeating myself. But yeah, check it out. Check out the article. It's a great article. Talks a little about it. Was from back in January 7th, and the only reason why I'm bringing it up now is because it was recently spoken about again in a Twitter post. I can't find the Twitter post, unfortunately. I'm so sorry. So I would have linked that, but I can't find it. In other news, I want to talk about Sonic 3. I got to see Sonic 3 finally with my wife and my son, and I thought it was an amazing, phenomenal movie. I think Keanu Reeves did great as Shadow. Of course, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, they were great, and I thought the movie did it, as best as it could with trying to adapt the Sonic Adventure 2 story in a way that is digestible, because Sonic Adventure 2, and if I don't say this, one of my buddies will wring my neck, because Sonic is one of his favorite characters of all time. Sonic Adventure 2 is the greatest Sonic game to ever be made, hands down. But the game, you do go all as in the game, you go all over the place. There's a lot of different things happening at once, a lot of different areas you go to, a lot of different things that coalesced at the end that lead up to that moment. If you saw the movie at the very end, I don't want to spoil anything, but I thought they did it. There was of course they couldn't. they had to make a story that was not linear, but something that can be understood, because you're not really playing a game and then you're not going into like getting to all these different points. So I thought it was a great adaptation and as best as they could. And a lot of the reveals at the end were really cool. And you want to know how I know it was a good movie? My wife is not like a super gamer. She doesn't game. She's not like a real big gamer. She hears me talk about it and she listens to me because she loves me, but I know she's not like a super gamer. So to really, all the Sonic movies have been good, but to really get her emotional over the story tells me that if a movie about a game can take somebody from a general audience who doesn't have any connection to said game and um and wrap them in the story, that's how you know it did its job. Because it's the gamers and stuff and the people who played their game, you already have their buy-in. You have their buy-in already. That's not the people you need to buy in. The people you need to buy in are the people who don't play games, are the people who are part of the general audience. It's the same thing with comic book movies. Like, I love comic books. I've read comic books since I was younger, but I tell people all the time, the movie, the comic book industry in of itself is not doing great. Like the comics are not selling the way they were way back in the day. So, and that's because comic book fans, like real comic book fans who are out there purchasing comic books, are far and few between. In order, the reason how the movies can be successful is you have to get the buy-in from the people who don't know about these characters, who don't read these, who have probably heard of them, but not really necessarily sold on their stories because of a piece of literature that they were written in. And I think that's when you know you really have a great story, a great, you know, set of events that can really capture the general audience. And I don't know. I thought Sonic 3 was amazing. If you've seen the movie, I don't want to give any spoilers. Tell me what you think in the comments, and I love to hear about that stuff from you guys. And at the very end, I want to show talk a little bit about Ninja Gaiden 4. Show probably a little clip from it and me watching the video and my reaction to it. I thought it was a great movie. Um, I thought that I said a great movie. Ugh. I thought it was a great trailer. Kind of looked like a movie. It probably could be a movie. I thought it was a great trailer. I've never played Ninja Gaiden. I have a buddy who's a super fan of Ninja Gaiden, and he really um sold me on the game. He was showing me a little bit of the game, and I think I might pick it up whenever it comes out. I don't remember. You'll probably see if you watch the trailer, and I'll link the trailer in the description. You'll probably see it. I'm probably gonna get it when it comes out, and it looks a lot of fun, very action based, very ninja-esque. I think the last time I did ever play a Ninja Gaiden, it was one where you got this sword that was taking your health, and you had to, I forgot, you had to hit like these checkpoints or whatever to protect yourself, something like that. It's been so long. It was on the PS2. But I I thought the trailer looked great. The game looked great. It looks like a lot of fun, a lot of just action heavy base, kick butt, you cool Devil May Cry esque combo. So I'm excited for it. And yeah, this is autosave episode 2. If there was anything, any topics you think I should talk about, anything, pardon me, you feel like I should get into, let me know, and I'll try to include it in the next episode. Like I said, I'll try to do this stuff consistently. It just sucks that the night before that, when I did record, something happened to the video that it wasn't rendering appropriately. But let me know if you like this episode, and if you have any ideas for the next episode, let me know. I want to be consistent with it. I'm trying to get it out every week. Hopefully I can record on Sunday to upload it, and it can be live on Monday. That's the goal. So thank you, and remember, you don't need to hit triangle, you don't need to hit start, you don't need to hit Y, because guess what, I'm gonna save it here for you, auto save. Please like, share, and subscribe if you watch this long, all the YouTube stuff. Bye everybody.